Bam, there you go. Isaac, is it Watson? Am I correct?
Yeah, Watson.
Watson. Okay, you are definitely a great man. And this interview is stemming from the book that God has given me, Great Man, What Art Thou? It's the silent cry of a woman's heart. And I often think that we don't even know what we want, but yet it's our cry, as God heard the cry of the Israelites. You know, he said, told Moses, I've heard their cry, you know. So it's the silent cry. It's the things that we don't even know how to convey, that God is going into the deepest recesses of our heart and our emotions to hear that. And there's great men out here like you that we need your voice. We need your mind. We need your heart. So as we embark upon relationships, that we will be knowledgeable, we'll be educated, you know, and don't just look at relationships as superficial and the pleasurable, fleshly, tangible things. So Isaac, you hear, as a great man, you live an intentional life.
Yes, ma'am. A
purpose-driven life. Explain it to us as a man, as a great man. What does that mean to have a purpose-driven life?
From my understanding, I believe that the purpose-driven life is the life God intended for man when he created him. Mm-hmm. When you look at the creation, when God spoke to Adam, God breathed into Adam, the first thing that God gave Adam was purpose. Mm-hmm. And he told Adam, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, have dominion, and all those great things. Mm-hmm. So I believe that if a life without purpose isn't life at all. Mm-hmm. As a man, it's important that we find our purpose, that you find your purpose, and you live out your purpose. Otherwise, what's the reason for living, if you're living without purpose? So to me, I believe that it's probably the most important thing, finding your purpose. And the only way you find your purpose is by finding Christ. Your purpose is found in him. Mm-hmm. And as you grow in relationship with him, he reveals your purpose more and more. So that's the place where I find myself, just being in communion with God, and through that, allowing him to show my purpose and walking and living out that purpose.
You know, Isaac, this book was placed in my heart as a result of my own life, my own personal pain of broken relationships. Mm-hmm. Not because everything was just so distraught. It's because we just get so many things messed up from external affairs. Yeah. Okay. I really am sick and tired of being sick and tired of things just being done without understanding. And all that get an understanding. Yeah. We use the term purpose, and it has become such a cliche. It has become such a loose term, but it really means intent. Okay. Mm-hmm. You're not an old man. You're a young, great man who is living life with intent. So when you met your wife, but before she was your wife, she was a woman. Yeah. What did that mean for you? You know, intent. What did that mean? Because you could have been everywhere. Come on now.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Are you asking me what, as far as
when you were you got a wife, and evidently you had to meet her as a woman. Uh-huh. But if you're living a purpose-driven or an intentional life, when you saw her, you had intentional mind.
Yes. Yes.
Were you playing games, or did you say, I'm going to talk to you with intent?
Okay, absolutely. Well, when I met my wife, I was actually on my way out of the country with my pastor on a ministry trip. And I met her maybe 2 weeks prior to, mm-hmm. and we just exchanged social media information. Then I saw her actually the night before, mm-hmm. We went out of the country. And she came and visited my church. She knew of my church through a mutual friend. And we began to talk that night after service. And we exchanged phone numbers. So it started out as a friendship, but that while I was out of the country, I began to speak to one of my friends who traveled with us, and I'm like, I believe the Lord highlighted this young lady to me, and I want to, I'm thinking about pursuing her. So
can you say that part again? Per who? Per who?
Pursue. I thought about pursuing her.
You thought about pursuing her.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
go ahead.
So when I got back, I was gone for maybe about 3 days or so. When I got back, I had an intentional conversation with her, and I let her know, as being a man of God, I don't believe in just dating just to date. I believe the purpose of dating is to get married. The purpose of courting is to get married, is to find your spouse. So I had a conversation with her intentionally, and I let her know, I'm not looking for just a girlfriend. I'm looking for a wife. Mm-hmm. Let's become friends. Let's learn one another. And if it goes further, then it'll go further. If not, that's fine. So it was very intentional. Right off back, we set parameters and an intentional foundation for the purpose of our relationship. Mm-hmm. So I believe that you have to be intentional. Mm-hmm. You have to be very intentional. I was intentional, and I believe now let me say this, because I was intentional, and because we didn't play a lot of games, and I'm dragging her along and trying to talk to her and trying to talk to other women at the same time.
You didn't do that? You didn't do none of that?
No.
You weren't trying to talk to her, and then over here Sarah too? You weren't trying to do that?
No. As a matter of fact, when I made up in my mind that I wanted to pursue my wife, I cut off other relationships. I cut those relationships off.
Okay, you said a key term. You've been saying a lot of key terms that I'm taking notes of. When I made up in my mind. Yes. How does a man do that?
Well, it's just a matter of knowing what you want.
Okay.
And focusing in on that, and anything else that would distract you from that goal, you have to find a way to eliminate it. So if me pursuing my wife was my goal, then all other distractions, whether it be other women who may be interested or whatever, you have to cut those things off and be intentional.
So you did have some other.
I did. I actually was speaking. I was talking to someone. We weren't in a relationship, but mm-hmm. I was talking to someone mm-hmm. when I actually met my wife, Brittany. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I believe God highlighted Brittany to me. So I made up in my mind and made a decision to cut that relationship off because I did not want to play games.
And you didn't play with her emotions.
Exactly.
So if I wasn't over this video conference, I may just kind of tap you and slap you because that is, a man's, and correct me if I'm wrong, your mind is so powerful that when you make a decision, boom, you just go ahead and do it. Am I right?
Any real man, yeah.
Any great man, real awesome man, okay? Because, it's a difference between a male, M-A-L-E, and a man, but that's a whole nother virtual conference right there, okay? However, you keep using this term, God highlighted, mm-hmm. highlighted. Describe that highlight. Describe what you mean highlighted. You ain't got no little marker. Let's highlight.
Right.
In your mind, what is highlighted?
Okay, in my mind, I believe that. Okay, now let me say this. I believe that when it comes to marriage and courting and things like that, I don't believe that God will go against our will. Mm-hmm. As far as not allowing us to choose who we are to be in relationship with.
Correct. I believe that as well.
But I do believe that because God is a God who knows all of our days, he knows what we desire, he knows what we need. I do believe that God will give us wisdom, and he will lead us and guide us to a possible spouse mm-hmm. Who is compatible, who is God-fearing. So when I use the word highlight, literally, this is what happened. When she came to the church, she was sitting in the back, and literally, I didn't see her face. The only thing I saw was a woman in the corner of my eye whose hands was lifted in worship.
Come on now.
And
Come on now.
and I believe that the Lord, when I say highlight, he intentionally singled her out in the room to get my attention. Did I know where it was going to go? No. But I do know that it was highlight. And it's not ironic, but purposefully, I believe that the Lord also did the same with my wife, where she said that God had highlighted me to her. So highlight, I believe that the Lord will lead you. He will direct you. And sometimes he'll add spiritual emphasis on a person, on a situation in order to get your attention. So
now, do you believe, Isaac, that a man has to have this desire in order for God to do this? You have to desire this, a wife. You have to desire a woman in your life like that.
Wow, that's a good question.
I know. I know.
You know what? I believe that God will give you the desires of your heart, but I also believe that God knows what you need as well. Now, first and foremost, let me say this. I don't believe that marriage is for everyone.
I believe that as well.
So I don't believe that God will highlight someone for someone that marriage isn't for. But I do believe that sometimes you may not necessarily be as, let me say, maybe spiritually aware or at a place where you may feel like you're ready. And God, I believe that the Lord could highlight someone to get your attention. Now, whether or not you hear it, adhere to it, or whatever, that's another thing. But I believe also that for people who do desire to get married, and for people who to whom marriage is for, I do believe that God can bring someone to your attention
and highlight them.
And highlight
them.
Yes.
You use two words that really are still resonating in my spirit: friendship and pursue.
Yes.
In the book, I had wrote that you should have a friendship before you go into a relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
Elaborate on that as a man, because we as women just like to be like, oh, I want to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
You know? And you all don't always do things the way we think y'all should do it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, friendship, I believe friendship should be the foundation of any marriage. Jesus said that no greater love has a man than this, that he lays down his life for his friend. And oftentimes I believe that with that verse, when we rush into relationships without developing a friendship, it usually becomes a manifestation of a lustful relationship. And the reason why I say that is because oftentimes people rush into relationships because of the emotional attachment that comes first. And I believe that, when we're dealing with lust versus love, I believe the definition of love, within the definition of love, comes the sacrifice of laying down your life. So with that being said, when Jesus speaks about no greater love than this, notice that he correlated that love to friendship.
Yeah.
And he related to his disciples as just not his disciples, but as his friends. So I believe that friendship should be the core, because it's really in the friendship that you begin the process of maturity in the relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that's the place where if you do friendship and love God's way, that's the place where you learn to die to your own selfishness. You learn to put others' needs before your own. And all that is not built on let's say a relationship in a sense of dating, but I believe all that is built upon friendship.
Yeah.
To be the core, the foundation of what you build your relationship on.
I'm a wordsmith. And when I say that, I really love taking the Word of God and every word in the Word of God and breaking it down, because I love teaching the Word of God for application, self, that we may get outcomes. So many terms we use from our own mindset, from our own definition, but we're not getting the outcome and the results. Just like you were talking about a friendship. When I wrote this book, I interviewed great men, but also a great man in my life really, really was saying, hey, it's about being a friend. You know what I mean? Now, Isaac, you're young and you're handsome. But I got a little bit of experience. So you know how they say, when you get older, you settle in your ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when I took the actual term friend, and I didn't look at it from the Webster, I had to look at it from the Word of God, because that's my life, okay? And it literally means a comrade. It's a comrade, someone who's willing to stand in the gap, take a bullet for you, go after it. We're in a war. We're an army. And if we got to fight, we fight together. And you can't learn if somebody really got your back. If you got all these emotions, because a lot of women want you all for the pleasure. A lot of women want you all for your ministry, your pastor, the limelight, the beauty of it, the cosmos, as we say from a world's perspective. How did you really know that Brittany was going to have your back?
Oh, wow. Well, that's a really good question.
I know. Don't I pull them out, boy? I pull them out.
You pull them out.
She's going to thank me for this one, too.
Yes. It's not something that I don't think you would know right off the bat.
Okay.
It's something that you learn as you intentionally learn one another.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the ways that I knew that she was a friend was just being transparent. When we met, I had a good job, and I was making good money, own car, things like that. And within the first, let me say, 2 or 3 months of our friendship, I ended up losing my job. My car, something happened to my car. It broke down. And in my mind, I'm like, this girl got every reason to say, nah, he ain't, he's not the one. Or in her mind, she could have thought, oh man, he can't keep a job or this or that. But she actually was there and helped me through that season.
Now that's a friend.
That's a friend.
That's a friend. That's a comrade. That's a friend.
Yes. And that right there showed me, because at that time, we haven't known each other that long. Mm-hmm. She had no obligations to stay friends with me at that time. Mm-hmm. She could have very easily said, okay, and drop me, but she literally helped me through that season.
Yeah,
to get back on my feet.
That's a great woman.
Yes.
That's not a good woman. I talk about in the book, a good woman versus a great woman. That's a great woman. You should have took her off the market.
I did. Look, I did. I took off the market real quick.
After that, Yeah. After that. So you being a young man, how did you get this kind of mindset? Because I know some men 40, 50, 60, 70, you know what I'm saying? And they don't even think like you think. How did you develop this mind and this heart?
I believe just from nothing in and of myself. I really believe just the grace of God. Proverbs speaks about, like you said, in all that getting, get wisdom, and in that getting, get understanding. Mm-hmm. And throughout the book of Proverbs, it speaks about wisdom. But if you really study the book, the way to gain that wisdom is by adhering to the Father's instruction.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
So I believe that because God gripped my heart at a young age to love Him, I believe wisdom comes with that. God will speed up time spiritually to get you where you need to be mentally, to have the mind of Christ, really. And and I'm not all the way there or anything like that.
None of us are.
But it is the grace of God. You know, Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish ways. And the thing with that is Paul said, when I became, I put away. So that means that Paul made a decision to grow up and to mature and to put away those childish things. So
in other words, if you haven't put away childish things, then you're really not a man. You're a great man.
You're really not a man.
You're really still a male.
Exactly. And you can be, like you said, a 50, 60, 70-year-old child.
Yes, you can. Oh, that's the truth. That's the truth. You know, I love talking to you. I could talk to you all day because of your mind. And I want to say this out the gate. Not only do I honor you, but I respect you. You know, I believe that we as women, we need to stop trying to love you all and respect you, you know, for who you are. You made another mention of a term that stood out, pursuit. In our society today, it's sad that so many women are pursuing the men. And it's taking it out of order, out of context, thinking we're going to get the godly results, and it's only breeding more evil.
Yeah.
Did you have women? I'm talking about before Brittany. Did you just have women pursuing you?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
No, to me, it's kind of a turnoff.
Okay. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, I'm just a firm believer. It may be old school. I'm just a firm believer that the man should be the one pursuing the woman. And we see a lot of foolishness, women proposing to men and
are you serious?
Stuff. Yes, and it's ridiculous. When I was a little younger, it was more so women pursuing. When I got older, I think, and in ministry as well, gaining more exposure, I think women probably get a little bit more intimidated that they wouldn't necessarily want to approach you in that manner. But when it has happened, to me, is a complete turnoff. I don't think that that's God's plan and intention.
Oh, I know. I know that it's not, because it's contrary to his word, Yeah. However, we live in a society, particularly as women, of desperation.
Yes.
And when we become desperate, then we go off on course and go on our own way. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to, hear your heart on that, because it is out of order. You know what I mean? He that seeketh a wife, yes, findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord. And then we have to continue with the order. You have to patiently wait.
Yes.
Patiently wait. And as you were stating about Brittany, and I put it also in the book, our responsibility is to worship. You know what I'm saying? If we just stay in worship, and put our minds on the Father, we will see so much more outcomes. Give some type of words of wisdom to a young woman, a young lady who really is waiting on God for a great man.
Mm-hmm. I would say to be faithful to God in the process. Let Jesus be your first love, and grow and mature in Him. And in due time, God will highlight you.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna ask God for a pink highlighter.
God will highlight you. Don't get distracted and in your own emotions, wondering when. God knows, and His timing, He will do it. But let me also say this, because I do believe that there are a lot of women who are they are waiting, but they are waiting. Let me say it like this. It's not always going to happen where the man of God is just going to walk through your church doors and see you. You have to, in a sense, using wisdom, holiness, all those great things, make yourself available in a sense. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying don't throw yourself at people, but sometimes you have to, for example, I didn't meet Brittany at my church. I met her at her church. I've seen her first at her church. And sometimes you have to have a social life. Let me say it like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have a social life, and wait on the Lord. Be faithful to the Lord, but yet make yourself available at the same time. Don't lock yourself up and just pray, and you're not making yourself available in that sense. I hope this is coming off the right way.
It is. In other words, don't be just sitting there crying and waiting on a man. Live your life.
Right. Live your life. Have fun.
Purpose-driven life.
Yes. Purpose-driven. And that man will find you in your purpose. He will find you in your purpose. So that, those are some words of wisdom that I could give.
That's the last chapter in my book, True Love Shall Find You. You don't have to seek for it. It shall find you. One of my main aspiration, even as the book, is to teach women how to wait. Ruth gleaned from Naomi.
Yes.
Before she gleaned from Boaz.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Boaz found her as she was submitting and gleaning from her spiritual mother. And I firmly believe that there's daughters out there that need to glean because they haven't had a model of what a mother is. Because Ruth said, your God shall be my God. Your people shall be my people. And even her other daughter-in-law said, hey, I don't want this. I'm going back to the Moabites. I'm going back to the land of perversion. You know what I'm saying? So there's a remnant of women, I think, that even before that great man come, there has to be a working down on the inside of her to be able to know what it is for a mother and an older woman of your age to really teach you some things.
Absolutely.
To teach you some things. Marriage is not a play toy.
Mm-mm.
And for a man with your mind to understand his purpose, a woman has to prepare herself.
Absolutely. She
has to beautify herself. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree 100%.
Can you please share why as we close?
Okay. It's very unfortunate that we see many divorces today and broken homes today. And many times it's because of the lack of example that was given. Sadly, I believe my generation is probably one of the most undiscipled generations. Because of that, I believe one reason why we see divorce at an all-time high and broken marriages, even in the church at an all-time high. But I believe that one of the keys is discipleship. Mm-hmm. Like you said, gleaning from those who are older and have wisdom, the wisdom and the experience that's needed. Mm-hmm. To me, I believe that one of the values, and I know you're an apostolic woman. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of the values of the Word of God is the power of impartation.
Yes.
And I believe that one of the benefits of impartation, whether it's through the laying on of hands and receiving spiritual things, or submitting yourself as a disciple and learning things through the process of walking with someone, is the fact that you receive something that you don't have to work for. Mm-hmm. You receive wisdom that you don't have to work for. You can receive gifts that you don't have to work for. And that's the value that goes behind beautifying yourself, is by gleaning from those who have went before you. That way you don't have to make the same mistakes. You don't have to fall.
Would you please say that again?
You don't have to make.
I'm going to worship just off of that.
And that's the benefit of making yourself a disciple and allowing those who have the experience to take you through your process of becoming adorned as a bride.
Yes.
Learn from them. Don't fall in the same pits they fell from. Mm-hmm. Don't think, I have to go through X, Y, and Z, because you don't. Mm-hmm. Learn from them, grow from them, and wisdom will come from that. And beautification will ultimately come from an example.
And you should always want the next generation to succeed you. Yes. I even tell God, even if I don't have a great man in my life, I want my daughters to. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want them to experience divorce like I experienced. I don't want them to feel that pain. Why? Because I love them. They're my daughters, So just as though it is in the natural, I don't want my spiritual daughters, I want you to tell our viewers more about what you do. But in the meantime, I have something to ask of you.
Okay.
Because this book is not just a book, oh, here, let me say, oh, here's a book, here's a book. It really is a tool to cultivate and to impart great women that are up and coming. You know what I'm saying? I had women of old, I come from a life where we tarried at the altar. You know what I'm saying? We waited on God. Now go back. Some God doing something else in you. You know what I'm saying? And that was at 17 and 18. And now, that's the old mothers of the church. You know what I'm saying? Baby, put your skirt down. You know what I'm saying? See, we missing that, but it wasn't because it was just how we had to respect ourselves. God has given me a cry to teach daughters, as Jeremiah 9, that impartation, wailing women, call for your daughters, Yes. So I'm really having an intimate time in the beginning of the year, just with spiritual daughters, to not just impart, because you can't impart without hearing the hearts.
Yes.
You got to hear the heart. You know what I mean? I sit down literally with my daughters and I hear their hearts. You see what I'm saying? And with that, now I can impart. So any daughters, any young ladies who are waiting and want that great man, tell them, you know what? You need to go for this impartation. You understand what I'm saying? One guy told me, he said, well, I ain't never seen a spiritual mother look like you. I said, well, this God doing a new thing. And it has sprung forth. But I really want the younger generation to succeed in their relationships.
Yes.
Let my wounds, I was wounded for your transgression. I was bruised for your iniquity, not D, but the Christ that's inside of D. You understand what I'm saying? So if I went through this, I went through it that you don't have to go through what I went through. Get on the clearance rack, okay? Get on the clearance rack. You're called as a pastor. You and your beautiful wife have a ministry. Tell them more about the ministry. Tell them more about what God has given your purpose-driven life to look like, and how they may be able to engage with you for the purpose of what you're living.
Absolutely. Well, me and my wife, this year we spearheaded a ministry where we're having monthly gatherings called The Encounter, and in these gatherings we cover various topics, levels of discussion, to bring healing to the total man.
There you go. I love it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And understanding biblical disciplines, getting back to the foundations of the word, and discipleship. We are located in University Park, Illinois. And as of now, we're having monthly fellowships. The current topic we're actually tackling is called Dear God, I Hate You. And it sounds deep, but it's a reality.
It's a reality.
Many people have bitterness, hatred,
yes,
things
they do.
happen. Yes. And they don't know how to express or even how to process what happens in life, or oftentimes the blame goes to God. Our next fellowship will be October 13th, 7:30 p.m. You can actually find us on Facebook. Just look up the name of the page is The Encounter. You'll see a picture of my wife and I. And you can come and be a part of these monthly gatherings. It's the beginning of a church plant, actually, that we plan on establishing early next year sometime. They've been growing. Momentum is building. People are hungry.
Yes, they are.
People want a fresh experience with God and with the church. And come out and be a part of what we're doing. And that's hosted by me and my wife, Brittany.
You and your wife, Brittany. Awesome. I commend you. Thank you for your time. If I was going to be there, I get back in town October 14th, but I would be there. But I will definitely be following you. I am following you on Facebook, so you will be seeing me. And if it's anything that you need me for, don't you hesitate to call. Don't you hesitate to get in contact with me, okay? Because I'm here for you all as well. All right, especially when you talk about that healing, and let's talk about it, because see, that's what you need to hear the hearts for, So pull out that. Thank you so very much. You have a blessed one, and we will definitely be seeing you again.
You do the same, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too. Bye now.